to anybody wanting to start Airbnb, you need to do the course. I've said this from the day I started. You cannot do Airbnb if you have not done Robin's course. It's just the way it is. Work so a few months until I hit my first jackpot. But once I hit my first jackpot, I got 7 after each other.
What is your belief about your experience of how quickly, once you get your first unit, you can scale that to fire your boss and replace your income, assuming that you're earning income between, let's say, 15 and 30,000 Rand a month? How quickly do you think that that could happen, and how many units in your model would that take?
Okay, so in my 7 models already, obviously having run the numbers through Robin's course, definitely don't buy a property without running those numbers. So run the numbers, and yeah, I think between my 2 properties, I've already fired my boss. So that's 2 units. That's not the 7, that's the 2.
Please do tell us if you make more cash flow, like in your pocket that you keep on your Airbnbs than you do in your traditional property investing at this point. Would love to hear that differentiation. So over to you, Bruce. Tell us how lucky you are.
And most definitely, my Airbnb makes a lot more cash than my portfolio.
Over what period of time could they build that 2 or 3 units that you just mentioned if they could fire their boss? Is that going to take years, like traditional real estate investing, or what do you think?
Not at all. If I could use myself as an example, I would use 2 months of my units max. 2 months. I would say 2 months. The reason why I'm saying is you literally make your rent in 1 week's booking. So in 1 booking, I've made my rental for the month, and the 3 weeks is just positive cash flow.
So in your case, if you could see at what this has opened up for you, and let's say that you had wanted to leave your work, or let's just call it some hypothetical person out there says, well, they want to replace their salary. Like, how quickly do you think someone could do that? Are we talking months? Are we talking years?
So the barriers for entry here are very, very low, though, Robin. That depends on your skill set and how you're negotiating with your landlord. So if you're able to get in front of the right people, procure the right type of property where you don't have to make a massive capital outlay for your furniture, then you're basically looking at most times only deposit. So entry costs are really low, easily recovered. And if you're talking about the average South African salary, with tax being factored into your Airbnb income, you could quite easily replace your income with 2 Airbnb units already. And the recovery of that cost could almost be within the same month if you're talking about deposits. So definitely quite easy.
The reason why I'm saying is because 2 years down the line, I can honestly tell you there is a distinct difference in the way I do my Airbnbs compared to others. Not judging others, just saying you can see a very big difference in the way we under Robin have been trained to do Airbnb as compared to everybody else that just woke up one day and like, wow, I can do Airbnb, let me start. There's a lot more confidence in the way I run my Airbnbs. There's a specific standard in the way I run my Airbnbs. And you can clearly see that in my listings. You can clearly see that in my reviews. You can clearly see that in my interaction with my landlords. So first and foremost, the course is a must. I need to say that.
So I decided to do the Airbnb course, and I think I've mentioned before that when I started watching it, I actually watched it all in one sitting. I was so intrigued, and then I just decided that I was going to start it immediately. So that launched my journey. I think I did the Airbnb course in March of last year, and in April I was already down in KZN looking for units there, and my listing went live on the 1st of June.
I started at a very different place to where I am now. I started in about September, October of 2020. So that was during lockdown. And, you know, I, being an entrepreneur my whole life, my first business was really struggling during this time. And I had to make another way. So we started with the Airbnb course, got coaching, and that's where it all started, and where my life changed at that point. I did the course in about a weekend or so, and then in that next week I secured my first Airbnb property. And at that stage, it was leveraging the last little cash that I had available, using credit cards and things like that to get the linen paid for, and whatever it was that I needed to get done, and start with that first Airbnb. And it looked like we should make about 10 to 15,000 rand profit per month on that Airbnb, and that was what we needed at that stage. And then from there, it's about 2.5 years later, and I've scaled drastically from there. I learned the foundations at that point, and then had a lot of learnings through there. We went from one to about 15 Airbnbs now, including an Airbnb in Dubai as well. So that's diversified international income, and it's just been a huge change in mindset as well. And then, as Robin mentioned, with that income earned from Airbnb, I started my first student accommodation at the end of 2021, and we've just bought another property now, converting it into student accommodation. And that's the strategy that I've been following. And it's just something that Robin's spoken about in terms of, you're replacing your income, you're wanting to fire your boss, get more time off, and take control of your financial freedom and your time freedom. Something that I will say for me that has changed is that the different stages and levels, I've had to readjust my goals because of the possibility that the Airbnb income brings you. You start out maybe wanting to earn 25 or 50,000 rand a month, and then that goal increases when you see the possibility of the income that it brings in. So my goals have changed, from that, drastically up from 50, 100, 200,000 rand, and more. And it's not from wanting more money and the greed of wanting money. It's more about seeing the possibilities, and what you can actually achieve using these strategies. It really is eye opening.
And then I got my one property. I still remember I was pregnant when I got my property, so I was a little bit pushed for pressure. And you won't believe me, Robin, but my Airbnbs literally started skyrocketing. And I was in a hospital. I was giving birth. I was with my baby, and everything was just doing itself. Automation. I didn't need to touch my phone. I didn't need to interact with anybody. Everything was automated. My guests were happy. I got wonderful reviews, and I wasn't even there. I wasn't there with the key. I wasn't there with the cleaners. I was doing absolutely nothing. I was just there with my baby, and it was an amazing time for me. And that is what the Airbnb gives you. It gives you that freedom, that time you need to do whatever it is that you need to do.
So while I've been laying here, some days thinking I honestly might not make it. There were days where it was touch and go, and I really thought I was going to die. I actually ended up making over 50,000 rand with Airbnb, and all of the bookings, cleaning, management, everything from top to bottom was taken care of without me having to do anything, thanks to the systems and automations that I've put in place.
And quite easily 2 units to replace your income.
Yep. So, I mean, that's crazy. We're talking about someone who might have studied for years,
Yes.
have worked their way up some kind of a ladder, are working 8 to 5s or whatever it is with extra hours. I don't know what sometimes people are doing to make things work. And you're telling me that within a short period of time, between maybe 6 months or even less for some people, we know that is possible, to maybe a year, you can actually, without gaining a lot of like academic expertise, you can replace an income. It really is crazy when you start to think of that. But that's what I'm hearing, correct?
Yep, that's right. But it's like Ridwan said, I mean, these things open up new possibilities for you. It's not, so the cash flow is good, yes. Using that money to invest in other things is also good, yes, but it creates so many more possibilities than just that. I think anybody who starts off with a goal like that will very soon realize that it could be a lot more than they think it can be.
There's no timeline or time limit, so I'm not going to say within a week you'll get a property, because I can't guarantee that, but I can guarantee that if you continuously try, you will hit a jackpot. Jump into Robin's course. That's where you jump first, and don't look back. I was scared as well. I was apprehensive as well. I was unsure, and I just jumped in the course. I studied the course intensely, loved every minute of the course, and then I took action. I went out there, I did what I had to do, and I am where I am now because of that. So freedom, I think, is amazing. It's wonderful on the other side. It takes a lot of hard work, but it's wonderful on the other side.